everyone, and welcome back to the channel, JC 2.5 Gamers UK, and I'm sure you've read the title of the video. Today we're going to be talking about something that I've not really seen a lot of people talk about, I've not seen a lot of people address, and at least in my opinion it's something that I want to address because I'm very passionate about both these things. I'm very passionate about both these companies, and I'm very passionate about what I expect from both of these games. Now, a lot of the footage you're going to see in this video is taken from a stream that I done, and I thank everyone who joined me live for that stream. I want to give a massive thank you to Alex, also known as Nintendo Gamer on Instagram. Follow his Instagram, I'll leave a link in the description, who jumped on and helped me during one part of the stream. Massive thank you, Alex. Really appreciate you, and again, here's to more, hopefully doing more Switch 2 streams and videos in the future. Really appreciate you, thank you. But yeah, I'm very passionate when it comes to these sorts of things. I'm very passionate when it comes to these companies. I'm very passionate when it comes to these games. But I want to preface and give a bit of a warning, or at least not a warning, but like a disclaimer. So a lot of what I'm going to say in this video is my opinion, and you are very well entitled to have your own opinion. I don't want anyone to walk away from this video or leave a comment in this video going, oh, well, JC's saying I'm dumb because I think one is better than the other. No, I'm saying what I think is better. I'm saying which one I think is better than the other. I'm saying what I think overall is my opinion. You're welcome to have your own opinion. You're welcome to leave your own opinion in the comments down below. If you think one is better than the other, if you think I'm wrong and you're right, you're welcome. You're entitled to have that opinion, and you're welcome to leave that in the comments. And to be fair, I encourage that. So please, once this video is done, stick around to the end, obviously, as much as possible. Stick around to the end. And once this video is done, let me know what you think in the comments down below. But what am I talking about? Well, again, you must have read the title of the video, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked on it. I'm talking about what game is the better tech demo, Switch 2 Welcome Tour or Astro's Playroom. Now, as I say, I have not seen a lot of people talk about this, but it's something that immediately came to my head when Nintendo announced the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. So obviously when we got the broad Nintendo Switch Direct, I'm going to say this story to give you a bit of background. So to anyone who's brand new, who doesn't know the history of any of this, this is your part of the video. And for anyone who knows my style of reviews, rants, whatever, this is a rant style video. This isn't scripted, by the way. I do tend to ramble. I'm going to edit it as best I can. I guess that's another disclaimer. I'm going to edit this as best I can. I'm going to try not to ramble. Sometimes I'm going to go off topic, yada yada yada. For those who know me and know my style of videos, welcome back. Hey, missed you, appreciate you, whatever. For those who are new, you're going to have to get used to this style if you want to keep watching this video. If you don't like this style, then I'm sorry, but this is how I tend to do my videos. But let me give you the background, and then let's talk about why I was inspired to do this video, why I'm passionate about this video. So, after Nintendo announced the Switch 2, they done a Direct, and they showed off everything the Switch 2 was going to have. They showed off Mario Kart World, things like that. Then Nintendo showed a game, and I use air quotes here, a game that they called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. And they advertised this game as something that you could play to show you what the Switch 2 does. Now, that is called a tech demo. A tech demo is a demonstration of the hardware in software form. It shows you what, well, to be fair, and it's also a demo of the software as well. It shows you what the console can do, why it can do it, why you should buy it, why it's unique to anything else. It basically says, here are all the bells and whistles, here's what makes it better than the last one, here's what it can do that the last one couldn't do, here's what it does similar to the last one. It gives you all the bullet points you need to know about the console. And when Nintendo showed off Switch 2 Welcome Tour, part of me looked at it and I thought, hang on a minute, something about this not only looks familiar, but also looks worse, way worse. And that's because the only other company that released a tech demo for their console, but they didn't really talk about it and they didn't tell a lot of people about it, and they released it for free, again, for free, we'll get into that in a second, is Sony. When Sony released the PS5 5 years ago, holy crap, isn't that crazy to say? We're in 2025. The PS5 came out in 2020. We are 5 years into the PS5's life cycle. That is insane to me. That is honestly... And I've still barely even scratched the surface with my PS5. But that's a me thing. That might not be a you thing. That might not be anyone's thing. That's just a personal me thing. Like I say, my video, my opinion, that's beside the point. And I did warn you, I ramble. But I'll keep going. So here we are 5 years later. Sony have their tech demo, and Nintendo are now making theirs. And what baffles me is the difference in quality between the two. in my opinion, I'm recording this, like I said, after I have just streamed for about 3 hours. I spent an hour and a half playing Switch 2 Welcome Tour, maybe near enough 2 hours. Then I spent an hour and a half playing Astro's Playroom, which I'd already played before. I've already played it before. I'd already platinumed it before. I platinumed it when I got my PS5. Why? Because when I bought my PS5, it was already on the console. I could download it for free. I started playing it. I unlocked trophies, and I thought, wow, this is actually quite a fun game. I'm going to keep playing. And again, fun game, by the way. Game! It is a game. Nintendo advertised Switch 2 Welcome Tour as a game. But in my opinion, this isn't a game. This is a tech demo, or at least an instruction manual, and it's not even a good one at that. And so now this is where my point stands, and this is why it's the title of the video. Who's the better tech demo? Switch 2 Welcome Tour or Astro's Playroom? I'd argue Astro's Playroom, and there's a lot of key points I'm going to make. And again, feel free to let me know if you disagree in the comments. And like I say, this is my opinion. If you have your own differing opinion, let me know in the comments as well. I would love to see your opinion. And I'm not going to sit there and debate with you. I'll hear what you have to say. I'll read what you have to say. And I might go, okay, maybe there's something in this that you saw that I missed. That's fine. We're not perfect, and there's things that I overlook and something like that. And it also comes down to preference. If you are a Nintendo fan, maybe some part of you is going to prefer Switch 2 Welcome Tour. But I also want to give, I guess I'll have to give another disclaimer. There's going to be loads of disclaimers in this video, I guess. I'm not saying this is my disclaimer now. I'm not saying this as someone who doesn't like Nintendo. A bit of background on me for anyone who's brand new to this channel. I grew up a Nintendo fan. My first ever console at age 5 was the GameCube. The first game I ever completed was Mario Sunshine. I consider myself a Nintendo fan. The problem is that Nintendo, in my opinion, makes stupid decisions that then other companies copy and do better, and then that slowly breaks down my affinity for them. And I don't think I'm wrong in saying that I'm the only person who's had a problem or some problems with the Switch 2. I think there's a lot of people who may agree with me. There's also a lot who may disagree that the Switch 2 hasn't exactly been the most perfect. It's definitely sold the best. 35.4 million, I think it was. That's not a number that we should sneeze at. That's actually very impressive sales numbers. However, I don't think I'm the only one in saying that Nintendo haven't really done what we expect from them, the Nintendo thing. This is a company that years ago released the Wii, and the Wii was like one of the, it may not have been the most graphically powerful, but it was one of the most innovative consoles of its time. It brought families together to play video games in front of the TV, because you had games like Wii Sports that your nan and your mum and your dad could play who never played video games, but then it also gave you games like Mario Galaxy, that was one of the best Mario games of all time. But that's beside the point. But this is what I'm saying. Nintendo used to do that, and then they come along with Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and now they do this. And this is what blows my mind, because again, if you compare it to its rival, 5 years ago, Sony made Astro's Playroom, and it's free and you can play it on your PS5, and in my opinion, it's marginally better, and I'm going to break down as to why. So let me describe my experience, and I'm obviously going to show you, as you guys watch this video, I'm going to sprinkle in bits of gameplay taken from my stream. That's the whole reason why I streamed, to be fair. I streamed in order to gather the footage that I needed to make this video. And this is the thing, so my experience with Switch 2 Welcome Tour, you'll see it, and it goes as follows. Number 1, Switch 2 Welcome Tour isn't free. That is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Why are you making us pay for a tech demo? And if you want to make us pay for a tech demo, in my opinion, make it good. Because what this is, it's ludicrous. First of all, it shouldn't even have had a price. We've already spent a lot of money on the console itself, and then you want to make us pay for the tech demo? So yeah, that's the first thing. The first thing is I had to buy this game. I had to buy this. And it wasn't expensive. It wasn't expensive. £7.99? £8. I'm from the UK, so obviously I paid it in pounds. Whatever your country is, wherever your region is, you have to let me know what price you paid if you did buy it, which again, don't know why you would, but you have to let me know in the comments. £7.99, £8. Nintendo made me pay, well, they didn't make me, I chose to, but Nintendo already had me pay a lot of money for this console. They then are saying to me this console is better in every way than the first one. It's better, it's bigger, it's badder, it's 4K, blah, blah, blah. then they want to show me a demo of what the console can do, and they want me to pay more for it? Okay, fine, let's play ball. I did buy this game. Am I proud to admit that? No, but that's because of the quality of what I paid for. I wouldn't mind if I paid £8 and I basically got what Astro's Playroom was. If I got a fully fledged game that not only shows you what the console can do, but makes it look cool. That's not what you get here with Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Let me tell you what you get, and you're going to see it as I sprinkle in gameplay in this video. What you basically get is you start off, you see the Nintendo Switch 2 floating in this space, and you see all the accessories from the Joy-Con straps, the Pro Controller, the dock. You see everything, right? You basically get a big 3D model of the console as a whole. Okay, cool. I mean, I guess it is a welcome tour. It's welcoming me to the Switch 2. Okay, cool. Graphically, the Switch 2 in this game looks cool. The dock looks cool, things like that. But then what do? Okay, you pick a very bland looking avatar from a line of a bunch of bland looking avatars. They're not Nintendo characters. Let me just remind you, they're not Nintendo characters. They're not Miis. Remember the Miis, Nintendo? What happened to the Miis? You made the Miis for the Nintendo Wii. You brought them back for the Wii U. You brought them back to some extent for the Switch. Why don't we like the Miis anymore, Nintendo? They were your things. You made the Miis, and then Xbox, years later, copied you by making avatars. And this is what frustrates me, is that Nintendo were the pioneers of imagination, were the pioneers of creativity. And now they make this tech demo, and it's the most blandest thing I've ever seen. So going back to what I was saying, you pick your bland avatar, and then you walk up an escalator, and you're walking on the Switch 2. And the Switch 2, it breaks itself down, so you've got the main body of the console, you've got the two Joy-Cons floating there, and then you've got each area is a different accessory. And that's the thing, so it's broken down into areas, not even levels, areas. You start off by walking around on the left Joy-Con, and you go to an information center, and it basically welcomes you. It says, hey, welcome to the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. This is your Switch 2. Feel free to look around and see what everything does. And then what do? You walk around and you read text. I want to repeat that for emphasis. You walk around and you read text. That's all you do. Oh, and you get to watch a couple little videos that show the Joy-Con floating and then detaching and show you the insides and then reattaching. Isn't this stuff I could have watched in a YouTube video? Isn't this stuff I could have seen in a PowerPoint presentation? Nintendo, what the hell? Why am I paying £8 from the price I could have paid for an indie game on your eShop, and I'm paying that to run around on a Switch 2 and read text and watch slideshows? And what is actually going on here? Did I just seriously pay £8 for an interactive instruction manual? That's what this game feels like. And that is absurd to me. That is absolutely absurd. You want to turn an interactive PowerPoint presentation instruction manual, price it and call it a game? And this is the same company that years ago released the Wii with cartoony characters, with Wii Sports, which came for free with the Wii, by the way. That's another thing. A lot of Wiis came bundled with Wii Sports. And like I say, that was cool for the time because Wii Sports brought the family together. You could grab your mum and your dad who've never played video games before. You could convince them to buy you a Wii to get you Mario Galaxy. But then at the same time, the console came with Wii Sports. And then you could say, hey, let's play bowling. And you could play bowling. That same company, these same people, now want to sell you an interactive instruction manual for $7.99. I was about to say $8.99. For $7.99. Who are these people? What happened to Nintendo? And this is why I gave the disclaimer earlier. I'm not saying this to shit on Nintendo. That's not what I want to do here. I say this as someone who actually loves Nintendo, but I don't love what they're doing. I was a huge Nintendo fan. Was a huge Nintendo fan. But then when they do shit like this, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Look, it makes me go more towards the competition. And this is the thing. This is the gaming industry. The gaming industry is competitive. The gaming industry, why do these companies want you to buy their consoles over the other? It's because they want to show you something that the other can't do. The Switch 2 is a pioneer in handheld gaming, I will admit, and I'll go more into that if I eventually do a Switch 2 video, which if you want to see me do a Switch 2 video of the console as a whole, let me know in the comments, I'll happily do one. I mean, I'm probably going to do one anyway, but I just would love to know if you guys are behind that, so let me know you're behind that by leaving me a comment in this video. When you are sitting there choosing to decide which console you want to buy, if you're sitting there choosing to buy a PS5, if you're sitting there choosing to buy an Xbox, if you're sitting there choosing to buy a Switch 2, these guys need to do things, these companies need to do things that convince you to buy this thing. And okay, yeah, the Switch 2 has Mario Kart World, that's fine. Also, check out Aaron's review of that game, which I also appear in, where we talk about that game. But again, that's besides the point. That's where these tech demos come in. And this is Nintendo's tech demo. A game where... A game... I keep having to use air quotes when I say game, because this isn't a game. It's just a playable instruction manual. There are little mini games in it, but are they really that fun? In my opinion, no. And again, I will keep saying in my opinion, because I don't want anyone to get triggered. I don't want anyone to think I'm saying that if you found this fun, that you're wrong. I'm not saying that. If you found enjoyment in this, if you found enjoyment in Switch 2 Welcome Tour, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm glad for you. But this is my video. And what I'm saying is, did I find enjoyment in the Switch 2 Welcome Tour? No! No! I sat there and I streamed for 3 hours and 1.5, nearly 2 hours of me playing this game. I was bored. If anything, I was taking the piss out of the game most of the time I was playing it, just to even make myself have any semblance of fun. One of the reasons why I chose to stream as well was so that I wouldn't be playing this game alone, by myself, bored, because I'd already seen people play Switch 2 Welcome Tour. I'd already seen it, but I knew I wanted to make this video, and the thing is I wanted to make the video as genuine as possible. I'd already played Astro's Playroom when I first got my PS5, so I knew what I thought of that game, and I've seen Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and I knew what I thought of what I saw. But seeing something and playing something, in my opinion, when it comes to gaming, seeing the game and playing the game are two completely different experiences. You can watch someone play a game and think the game sucks, but then you might play it yourself and think the game's good. I've had that happen a lot of times. I've seen that a lot of the times with games on the internet. In fact, another segue into another one of our series on this YouTube channel, and feel free to go check out that series once you're done with this video. We have a series on our channel called How Bad Is It Really? And in that series, we play games that the internet have deemed as bad, or even games that we've bought and we look at the back of the box and we think, oh, this looks like shit, and we play those games, and then actually it turns out sometimes the game might actually be good, or a lot of the time it turns out that the internet was right and the game was bad. The point I'm trying to make is that I wanted to play the game to give the most genuine experience, the most genuine video as possible. That was my choice. I'm not saying anyone made me do this. I'm not saying Nintendo made me buy this. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is that I could have easily made this video with the knowledge I already had on Astro's Playroom and what I've seen of Switch 2 Welcome Tour, but I wanted to be authentic. So I chose to spend £8 of my hard-earned money. I chose to sit down and stream this game. But the reason why I chose to sit down and stream it and not to just play it by myself and record the video was because already from what I saw, it looked boring. From what Nintendo showed, it looked boring. So I thought, how can I make this more entertaining for myself? Okay, fine, I'm going to stream it. And also streaming it, like I said, gave me the opportunity to gather all the footage that you're going to see throughout this video on screen. And yeah, did I enjoy what I played? No. No! I don't know how else to tell you this. No. Because as I say, what are you playing? You are playing a instruction manual where you walk around and you can collect stamps, which the stamps are basically for you finding things on your Switch 2 that you're already aware of. So for example, as you're running around, each individual button on the D-pad is a stamp. Oh, and by the way, I say again about Nintendo not Nintendo-ifying. I'm going to make that its own word, Nintendo-ifying. What do I mean by that? I mean by that in the sense of they haven't put their own Nintendo spin on it. Like I say, Nintendo, these are the same guys who made the Miis. These are the same guys who made Mario, made Donkey Kong. You have characters that you could have used to Nintendo-ify this game and make it more interesting, and they didn't do that. Instead, you play as a generic avatar, you're running around on a floating Switch 2, you're collecting stamps that don't look anything like Nintendo memorabilia, they don't look anything like references to other Nintendo consoles, and you're getting these stamps for doing what? You found the analog stick. Well done, there's a stamp. You found the down button on the D-pad. Well done, there's a stamp. You found the detach button on your Joy-Con. Well done, there's a stamp. You're collecting these generic stamps for finding things on your Switch 2 that are blatantly obvious. I mean, some of the stamps were hidden, and I would say well hidden, but they're also kind of not well hidden. Again, most of the stamps are for finding things on your Switch 2 or even inside your Switch 2. There's a point in the game where you actually get to go inside the Joy-Con and you have to find the rumble motor and you have to find things like that. And again, you get your little Nintendo stamps. Yay! But again, fine if you make it exciting, but it's not even exciting. Watch the gameplay I'm showing you on screen. Does this look fun to you? It didn't to me, but if you think it does, again, let me know in the comments, because I'll keep saying this. In my opinion, It didn't look fun. It doesn't look fun. It looks like you're playing The Sims on a Switch 2. Look at these generic characters. Why aren't these the Miis? Why are we playing as these boring characters? Why are we just running around on a Switch 2 floating in midair? Why are we running around on the accessories floating in midair? Which actually, I'll get to another point about the accessories that actually gatekeep you from playing more of this tech demo. So, as I say, you run around on this floating Switch 2, you point out all these obvious things, and you get these very obvious stamps. What's another thing that you do in this game? Well, like I say, you read a bunch of text, you watch a bunch of slideshows. Oh, here's how your Joy-Con works. Here's how your Pro Controller works. Again, Nintendo, make it exciting. Show me these things in action. Show me these things in action. Don't just tell me with text and slideshows. This is me again personally. I don't really like reading. You may like reading, I don't really. I'd rather have you show me in a way that's exciting, in a way that I don't have to read a bunch of text saying, here's what this does. No, show me that. How does the mouse controls work? Show me that. Like, don't just have me sitting there reading of, oh, well, we made sure we put the best innovative tracking technology inside the Joy-Con 2 is a little camera and it tracks the motion. Okay, cool. Show me that in a way that's exciting, in a way that's Nintendo. What you basically just showed me here, anyone could have showed me in a YouTube video, in a PowerPoint presentation. But no, you decided to make this into an £8 game. And you decided to sit there and say that you're justified in making this a game, in charging people for this game, but then you want to make it as boring as possible, in my opinion. If you found this exciting, though, again, I don't know. Again, feel free to let me know why in the comments. But still, this is bland, this is boring. Now, that's not to say there isn't any element of game in this game. I mean, there's very little, but there's still something. You do get mini-games, but the mini-games are bland. So, to do the mouse controls, you get some mini-games where you have to dodge these spike balls, and you have to collect stars, and you get a golf mini-game, and you can use the mouse to hit a ball. And again, that's all well and good, but where is the pizzazz, Nintendo? These are the same people that, again, they made Donkey Kong, they made Mario. The golf minigame, missed opportunity here. Why didn't they make it golf from the NES, but then just add a little spin on it? And the dodging mini-game with the mouse controls using the spaceship. Where was the opportunity to make that a Pikmin reference or a Kirby reference? I even said that on my stream. So one of the mini-games is you use the Switch 2 mouse controls and you move a ship around using the mouse. And it all controls nice. The mouse you can use on your lap. And they tell you this in the PowerPoint presentation, and they tell you all this. That's absolutely fine. But then I'm sitting there and I'm playing this mini game, and as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, why they couldn't have done this and maybe put Kirby here? Why is it just a generic, bland UFO? The model that they use for the UFO looks like something that you could have got AI to do. This doesn't look anything like what Nintendo used to do. And I was actually reminded of another thing that Nintendo did that you could also argue was a tech demo back in the day, and this was actually reminded to me by Alex, Nintendo Gamer. So again, massive shout out to Alex, and thank you for that, Alex, for reminding me. This is the same company that when they made the Wii U made Nintendo Land, and Nintendo Land was a collection of mini-games that were a tech demo for the Wii U. They showed you how the gyro worked, they showed you how the gamepad works, they show you what the gamepad could do, they showed you how 5 players could work, where you could have 4 Wii remotes, 1 gamepad, play a game 5 players, but again, they Nintendo-ified it. You played as your Miis, the game was actually all colourful, vibrant, you was in an amusement park where you ran around and did things. Look up Nintendo Land. If you've never seen Nintendo Land, the game on Wii U, look it up, watch that, then look at my footage of Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Which one looks more Nintendo to you? Which one? I'm talking to anyone who has a history with Nintendo or looks at Nintendo the way I see them, because I see Nintendo as the colourful kid company with Mario on the cover of the box, where they show a 3-year-old holding a Switch 2 with his dad and they're all playing a fun, cartoony, colourful game, but then they go and release this game where you run around as a sim, reading instructions of how your Switch 2 works, doing quizzes about how your Switch 2 works. So you sit there and you read theory about how your console works, then you do a quiz. I'm sorry, am I an employee now? I expect Nintendo to get their employees to do this as training. Like when I apply for a job and I have to do training for that job, that's the sort of thing I see, where they try and make the training modules look fun, and then they add all these PowerPoint presentations. I expect that. What I expect from a gaming company, though, for a tech demo for a game, is to make an exciting game that shows me what the console does. I don't want to sit there and read a bunch of text and then do a quiz. What is this? And again, they market this as a game, and on top of that, they market it as a game you have to pay for £8. And even though, like I say, £8 not expensive, but it's ridiculous when you look at the content we're getting. Absolutely ridiculous when you look at the content we're getting. And I'm explaining this in a vacuum on its own. This is just what I think of Switch 2 Welcome Tour on its own. I think this is ridiculous to expect £8 off of people for this. You're telling people to pay £8 to play a game where you run around on a top-down Switch, you read theory about the Switch, what it can do, you read the instructions of what the Switch can do. Like, I didn't know that you can actually attach the Joy-Cons on the wrong way. I know that now, but I had to pay £8 to know that whilst playing in my opinion, a rubbish instruction manual that told me that. I'm then learning that the Switch 2, the mouse controls are because of a hidden camera inside the Joy-Con. Again, that's cool, but I had to learn that because I paid £8 to read a rubbish instruction manual where you play as a sim running around on a Switch 2. Do you get my point here? And again, if my point in my words isn't coming through to you guys, then look at my footage. Look at this. Does any of this look exciting to you? And if it does, let me know in the comments. But if it doesn't, then congratulations. Maybe you agree with me. And I'd like to hope that I'm not in the minority here, because I've also seen a lot of people say similar things. And I'm just throwing my hat into the ring. This is just me giving my opinion. This is just another voice in the echo chamber of voices that are screaming that, in my opinion, this sucks. This sucks, Nintendo, and I do not understand why. You are the company that years ago managed to make a lunchbox into a console. I'm referring to the GameCube. And you managed to make Mario Party, and you managed to make Luigi's Mansion. You managed to make all these great, fun, colourful games. And now here we are years later down the line, and you're making the Switch 2, and you're making a bland as hell tech demo, which looks nothing like Nintendo. There's no Nintendo references. Well, actually, okay, that's not true. There's one Nintendo reference. So as I say, this game has mini-games. One mini-game that I guess I found myself enjoying, and I did enjoy some things. I'm not going to completely shit all over this tech demo. There were some things I enjoyed, but like I say, the main reason why I'm so triggered, the main reason why this thing annoys me, is because there's potential, and they didn't use a lot of the potential. So one of the mini-games I enjoyed, there's a mini-game that you play that shows you the difference between 4K and what games used to be years ago, and that's basically you play the first level of Super Mario, but it's pixel accurate to the size of what Mario would have been if he was actually blown up on a 4K TV. Now see, I enjoyed that. Not only because, one, I'm a nerd and I like looking at this information. I like seeing the evolution of gaming. I'm a nerd for that reason. And it is actually quite hilarious to see how fun gaming, like to see how far gaming has come, to see the fact that years ago games were that small and now games can be massive. Like I say, 4K is now the realm that most games sit in, whereas years ago games were barely even 200 pixels. That is insane to me. And they found a fun way of showing you that by making you play the first level of Mario pixel accurate to what it would have been years ago. I enjoyed that part, but that's one part, and the broader part of this tech demo isn't like that. But it makes me question, why isn't the broader part of this tech demo like that? It makes no sense to me. There are little glimmers of something fun in this tech demo, and then the rest is all just bland, boring shit that I could have just watched in a YouTube video. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it doesn't scream Nintendo to me. If Microsoft, I actually said this point on my stream, if Microsoft done this for the Xbox, I don't think many people would have been surprised. And the reason why I say that is because I look at all three of these companies, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. When I look at Microsoft, I think of adults, because Microsoft mainly make adult games, Gears of War, Halo. Microsoft, well, I mean, when you buy an Xbox, and I can say this from experience because I've got my Xbox box up there somewhere. When you buy an Xbox, who's on the cover? Master Chief. And who's Master Chief aimed towards? Men who like playing shooting games. When I look at Sony, okay, Sony is a mixed bag. They tend to cater towards children, but then sometimes they also cater towards adults as well. You can play Ghost of Tsushima, you can play God of War, those are adult games, but you can also play Ratchet and Clank, you can also play Astro, which is, again, the game we're going to talk about later in this video. That's mainly aimed towards children. Then you think about Nintendo, and what do you think about? You think about Mario, you think about Donkey Kong, you think about Kirby, you think about Animal Crossing. These are all kiddie things. Why is the kiddie company making the most boring tech demo that, like I say, if me, a 27-year-old man from the UK, is playing this tech demo and I think it's boring, and yet you're releasing this console aimed towards children. Now, I know obviously a majority of people that play Nintendo games are adults. I know that. But look at the company. The company is aimed towards children. Like I say, if Microsoft did this, it wouldn't surprise me, because I think, well, Microsoft mainly caters towards adults. I know kids play Microsoft, even though they probably... Like, I know kids play Xbox, even though they probably shouldn't, but they do, because their parents buy them an Xbox. But this is Nintendo. This is the company that sit there and say, we're going to make Mario for your 3-year-old to play. And then this is the same company that then releases a tech demo that even me, an adult, finds boring. Why would my kid want to play Switch 2 Welcome Tour? And I say that as a man with 3 kids. He wouldn't. I wouldn't expect my son to play this. But then we look at the flip side. We look at Astro's Playroom. And look at how fun that looks. Like I say, I'm going to sprinkle in gameplay as you guys listen to me talk. But look at how fun that looks. And that's what the whole point of this video is. I'm saying this versus that. Now, obviously, earlier I talked about the game in a vacuum. I said about even if Astro's Playroom didn't exist, this is still, in my opinion, terrible. Like, this isn't a game. This is literally an interactive instruction manual with a couple of quizzes, a couple of mini games, and no Nintendo flair, no Nintendo personality, no Nintendo characters appear. You play as these bland generic characters. I mean, okay, I guess Mario appears in that one Mario thing, that's it. But where was the other opportunities to include Nintendo characters? Again, where are the Miis? Where's Kirby? Where's all these Nintendo characters? You have a plethora of characters, Nintendo, and you know this, and everyone knows this, because you have Super Smash Bros., where all the Nintendo characters are together. You could have had all these games. Imagine playing Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and you've got Link and Zelda, and you've got Kirby, and they're all running around, and then they're showing you what the Switch 2 can do, and you don't have to read it, they show you, and you feel it in the controller, and you... Again, like, all this stuff. You could have made it so much cooler. Nintendo didn't do that. They chose to do what you're seeing on screen right now. But then you go back 5 years ago, and then you have what PlayStation did. PlayStation released the PS5, and like I say, they didn't really talk about it. But they released the PS5. And inside every PS5, literally every single one, whether it's used or new, so I'm saying this right now to you watching this video, if you have a PS5 and you haven't played Astro's Playroom, you can. Go on your PS5, look in your library, it is already there. You just need to install it. It comes with every PS5 without fail. You just need to go into your library and install it. And number one, it's free. Oh my god. Are you serious? It's free? Wow, that's insane, right? Right? Nintendo want you to pay $7.99, £8. And I'm speaking in pounds because I'm from the UK. But Sony, they're giving it to you for free. That's already part one of my problem. Part two of my problem, it is an actual game. It is an actual game. Look at the footage. To be honest, I could literally just spend the rest of this video in silence and I could play you the footage side by side of both games. And again, you can form your own opinion. Which one looks more fun to you? And like I say, this is just the opinion of one 27-year-old guy from the UK. Take that as what you will. And again, you can have your own opinion. I'm not saying to anyone, don't have your own opinion. You can have your own opinion. I'm going to say it multiple times in this video. Let me know your opinion in the comments down below. But I already know the answer. I would rather play Astro's Playroom. Because that's actually a game. It's actually a game. And it does a phenomenal job of showing you what the PS5 can do. Let me describe my Astro's Playroom experience. As soon as you boot up the game, right, although you won't see that in my stream footage because I had to start a new game because I'd already played the game before, you are greeted with the PS5 controller floating on the screen. And it says to you, try the adaptive triggers, because the PS5 has adaptive triggers. And you press the adaptive triggers, and on the screen, the controller starts having thrusters launch flames out of the controller, and you feel the vibrations in the controller. Then next thing, you swipe up on the touchpad, and there's Astrobot. Oh my god, there he is. And then you get thrown into a 3D platformer. A 3D platformer, like the style of Mario Odyssey, like the style of Mario Galaxy, like the style of... I mean, hell, soon we're going to get that Donkey Kong Bonanza game, although maybe by the time this video comes out, that game will already be out. But yeah, you get a 3D platformer, which is a huge love letter to not only Sony fans, it's a huge love letter to the Sony employees, and it's a huge history lesson of PlayStation. You get to play a 3D platformer where you collect PlayStation-themed coins, All the collectibles are PlayStation themed. You find artifacts from like finding a PSP to finding a PS1 to finding a PlayStation camera. All the collectibles are references to PlayStation. And again, you're getting all this while you're playing a 3D platformer where you can collect stuff. And it shows you what the PS5 can do. All the level themes are themes of what's inside the PS5. For example, you get a level called Cooling Springs. And it's a level based on the cooling system inside the PS5. But they didn't just make it boring. They could have done what Nintendo did. They could have just made it boring and you just run around on the fan and you run around on the cooler of the PS. No, it's an actual level. It's an actual level. Again, look at the footage. Look at the footage. Which one would you rather play? Would you rather play the one where you run inside the PS5, run inside the Switch 2, and you can see the cooler, and then you read a block of text that says, "Hello, this is the cooler. It keeps your console cool. Your console doesn't overheat because of this. Now time for a quiz. Where is the cooler? What does the cooler do?" Or would you rather play the platformer where you're running around on a beach, you're fighting enemies, meanwhile in the background there's a massive cooler and it says, "There's your PlayStation cooler. This is the thing that keeps your console cool. And by the way, here's a cool level, pun intended, where you get to run around and collect coins and collect collectibles. There are references to PlayStation." Like, come on, man. It's a no-brainer. At least it is for me. Like I said, this is my opinion. And I look at this and I just think, what the hell? What the actual hell? Because this was done 5 years ago by the competing company. Nintendo should have looked at this and said, okay, if Sony can do that, why can't we? And to an extent, I feel like they did. Why does Switch 2 Welcome Tour exist? Why does Switch 2 Welcome Tour exist? Ask yourselves that question. And I believe it exists because Astro's Playroom exists. But where is the Nintendo pizzazz? As I was streaming, me playing Astro's Playroom, I had people in the chat say to me, "But JC, this is just a copy of what Mario's already done." And I agree with those people. Yes, Astrobot is basically a copy of what Mario's already done. Someone compared Astro's Playroom to Mario Odyssey. I 100% agree. But here's the thing, and this was the analogy that I used, is let's say, for example, you're a kid in a school and you get given homework, and your homework is you need to write an essay. And you write an essay and you write the bare minimum. You write about the topic, you write a beginning, a conclusion, and end, and you submit that essay. Meanwhile, the kid next to you, he copies your essay, but he changes a few words. And he makes a few of those words sound smarter. He makes the essay look more appealing. He does it on paper that's better than your paper. He adds glitter. He uses different coloured pens to make the essay stand out more. Who do you think's going to get the higher grade? Do you think the kid who done the bare minimum's going to get the higher grade, or the kid who, at first he may have copied, but again, he changed some of the words and made them sound smarter. He used different coloured pens to make it stand out. He used better looking paper, and then he laminated that paper. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Nintendo were the pioneers of this innovation. Nintendo did it first, and then other companies came along and they done it late, but then they done it better. And now you've got a situation where Nintendo are copying the companies that copied them, and they're doing it worse. That doesn't make any sense. If you were gonna copy Astro's Playroom by making Switch 2 Welcome Tour, you're doing it 5 years later. You should be, as Nintendo employees, you should be sitting there going, okay, they made a 3D platformer that shows you what the PS5 can do. Well, we've made 3D platformers. We've made loads of them. We made Mario Odyssey. We're making Donkey Kong Bonanza. Let's make a tech demo that basically does that, but better, because we're Nintendo. The whole reason why they did it is because we originally did it, and we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it better. But that's not what they did. They done the bare minimum. And then they done the bare minimum, and then they want to charge you for it. That's what baffles me. And the whole point of this video, like I say, it's not to shit on Nintendo entirely. And I'm not doing this because I hate Nintendo. I'm doing this because I like Nintendo. I love Nintendo. But I'm disappointed in Nintendo. This is disappointing. And it's not only disappointing when you look at it on its own. It's disappointing when you look at it in comparison. How can you not compare these two games? Because immediately my brain did when they first announced it, and I'm going to, and I did as I was playing it on stream, and I had people in my chat agree with me. I had some who also said a couple things, may have disagreed with me, but the results still show. Look at the footage that I'm showing you in this video. Look at it. Which one would you rather play? Honestly, which one would you rather play? Which one do you think a 6-year-old would rather play? At the time of me making this video, my oldest child is 6 years old. If I sat there and played Switch 2 Welcome Tour, I doubt he would even want to touch the controller. If I sat there and said, oh, do you want to play some Switch 2 Welcome Tour, son? He'd probably look and go, no, that's boring. But if I sat there and played Astro's Playroom in front of him, I can't deny that. I honestly think he would try and snatch the controller off me to have a go, because he would see a fun platformer, all colourful, all vibrant, and he'd be thinking, wow, Dad, that looks like fun. I want to play that. Would he rather play a game where you have to read text? This is the thing, he already is just learning how to read. Look how much reading you have to do in this game. And again, this is the company that targets children. But then meanwhile, the company that sometimes targets children, sometimes doesn't, make a 3D platformer that not only shows you what the PS5 can do, it shows you what the PS5 can do and it makes it fun. In my opinion, Switch 2 Welcome Tour isn't that fun. Now, there were some moments where I did enjoy myself, but I wouldn't say that was because of the game. That was because of the piss I was taking out of the game. So that's not Switch 2 Welcome Tour being fun, that's me making my own fun of Switch 2 Welcome Tour. And that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And again, I'm disappointed in Nintendo with this. If I had to review Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and I mean, I guess you could take this video as a review of both Switch 2 Welcome Tour and Astro's Playroom. If I had to review it, I would say this, for Nintendo standards, this sucks. And it does suck, in my opinion, but again, you can disagree with me all you want. And even then, like I say, Nintendo charge you for this, and as well, gatekeep other features. There are some moments in Switch 2 Welcome Tour you can't even play, because some moments that you need the Pro Controller for, which not many people even bought the Pro Controller because it's expensive. It's like, I think, another, what, like 80, 90 pounds? I may be wrong, I'll put a picture of the Pro Controller and its price on screen in the video. And yeah, to be fair, some people in my chat, they expressed this. Once again, shout out Alex, Nintendo Gamer. He doesn't have the Pro Controller. He played Switch 2 Welcome Tour and he couldn't even play one of the mini-games because of it. So again, now we have another problem. You want to release a console that you have to pay for, fine. But then you want to release an instruction manual that's boring that you have to pay for, okay. But then in that game, you're now gate-kept from playing all the things in that game because you don't have the £90 Pro Controller. So in total, you've then got to take the price of the Switch 2, the price of the tech demo, and the price of the Pro Controller. That is ridiculous. When you add all of that up, that's more expensive than buying a PS5. And guess what? When you buy a PS5, what does it come with? It comes with the controller, and you don't need another controller to play Astro's Playroom. You just use the controller the console comes with. And on top of that, Astro's Playroom is free. It's free. Like I say, you can literally leave this video right now, go on your PS5 and download Astro's Playroom. It's free. But then, if you want to leave this video and play Switch 2 Welcome Tour and you don't own it, well then guess what? Either someone has to game share it with you, which then means they have to buy it, or you have to go on the Nintendo eShop and you have to buy it. And then even after you do buy it, I hope you have the Pro Controller, because you can't play one of the minigames without the Pro Controller, but you're paying to play the minigames, aren't you? You're paying Nintendo £8 to see what the Switch 2 can do. And one of the things they want to show you that it can do is how cool the Pro Controller is, and I have the Pro Controller, it's right here. I chose to buy the Pro Controller though because I thought it looked cool and it feels cool, and again, I'll elaborate more on that if I do a Switch 2 review. But what about for the person who didn't buy the Pro Controller? What about for the person who can't afford the Pro Controller? Well, I guess you're out of luck. Because now you've bought a console, you've bought the tech demo, instruction manual, but they call it a game, and you can't even experience all the features. Why? Because you haven't got the Pro Controller. Oh, and did you buy the camera? Because there's mini games for the camera too. Oh, you mean to tell me you didn't buy the camera? That's another price added on top. What is going on here? What is seriously going on here? And again, these are the same people that made the Wii, and that came with Wii Sports. The reason why the Wii came with Wii Sports was because Reggie said that it was wrong for Nintendo to charge people for Wii Sports, because originally Nintendo wanted to actually charge people for Wii Sports, but then Reggie, the president of Nintendo of America, said no, don't do that, make it for free. And that was a brilliant decision. Maybe that's what Nintendo needs. Nintendo, bring back Reggie, bring back people like Reggie who worked at Nintendo, who had these great ideas, because the people that you've got working for you now who thought that this was acceptable for $7.99, £8, this tech demo where I can't play all the minigames, and even then the minigames are boring, in my opinion. This thing that lacks personality, that lacks that Nintendo edge. If you had never played a PlayStation console and you played Astro's Playroom, you would learn everything about Sony through Astro's Playroom. But if you play Switch 2 Welcome Tour, do you know everything about Nintendo? Are there references to other Nintendo handhelds? Did you know Nintendo made other handhelds? What a massive missed opportunity. Why am I not running around on a 3D platformer collecting cartridges from the DS? or collecting Game Boy accessories or things like that. Reference Nintendo history. The only Nintendo history reference that I saw was that Mario minigame, and that's it. That's it. And then the rest of the minigames are all bland and boring, and they don't reference Nintendo. Even at one point in my stream, there's a minigame that shows you the rumble in the mouse controls, where you have to saw a log. Again, look at my footage. Look at how boring this looks. You mean to tell me they couldn't have Nintendo-ified this? They couldn't have put in one of their characters doing this? They couldn't have found a way to give it that edge. Nintendo used to have edge. They used to have personality. And in some aspects, they still do. But in other aspects, when I look at this, that personality's just gone out the window. Now, it just feels like they're a greedy company that want to release the bare minimum and then sit there and tell you that it's justified. And in my opinion, it isn't. But like I say, in my opinion, if you think it is, argue your case in the comments down below. But this is my video. I wanted to make this video to talk about this subject. It's a subject I'm very passionate about. I'm a very passionate gamer. I've been gaming since I was literally my son's age, if not younger. My eldest son anyway. And I'm very passionate about these sorts of things, and I made that very apparent in my stream. I said the whole time in my stream, the whole reason why I'm doing this, I know streaming it and recording it is pointless in the grand scheme of things, because anyone could turn around, watch this video and go, yeah, but JC, who cares what you say? Who cares what you say? Nintendo might not even care what I say. But if there's a chance that somebody does, and that I can make this video and put out this message of my opinion, then I'm going to do that. I've made other reviews in the past. You can check out those reviews. I most recently reviewed Doom the Dark Ages, and I want to do even more reviews. But this isn't just a review, though. This is a review, but this is also a this versus this. And again, I can't not compare the two, because we live in a reality where both exist. But even then, as I say, even in a vacuum, in my opinion, even on its own, Switch 2 Welcome Tour sucks. It looks boring. The gameplay's boring. The only times I enjoyed myself was when I was taking the piss out of the game. Which, again, that's not the game's enjoyment, that's me making enjoyment by taking the piss out of the game. You know, like when you watch a movie that's so bad it's funny, but it's only funny because you get all your friends together and you make some popcorn and you watch the terrible movie, but you're all sitting there laughing at it and you're pointing at how the acting is bad and you're pointing at how the dialogue is bad. That's basically how I felt with Switch 2 Welcome Tour. How did I feel about Astro's Playroom? It's a brilliant 3D platformer. It's a great 3D platformer, stunning visuals. It shows you everything the PlayStation can do. It shows you everything the controller can do. Look at my gameplay footage. You play a level where you're controlling a robot with a spring and you're using the gyro controls. You're playing levels where you're climbing walls, you're using a monkey, and you're using the gyro controls. You're using the adaptive triggers. You do a level where you grab a bow and arrow and you use motion aiming to shoot at enemies. Motion aiming, which is something that Nintendo done and created with the Wii and the Wii U. Motion controlled aiming. So once again, do you see my point here? Do you see how Nintendo create the original, then Sony come along and copy it and make it better, but then later Nintendo want to copy them again and make it worse? What the fuck? Pardon my language here, but this is, I never say my content is for children, but what the fuck, Nintendo? What the fuck? This is appalling. This is disgusting. I'm not proud that I paid £8 for this game, but as I said, I did it for the sake of content. I did it because, again, I also wanted to be as genuine as possible. I wanted to make this video as genuine as possible. I wouldn't feel comfortable making this video saying, oh yeah, Switch 2 Welcome Tour in my opinion sucks, but then someone says, oh, but JC, did you play it? And I say, no, I didn't play it. And then they go, well, how do you know it sucks? You didn't play it, you just watched it. Because like I said earlier in the video, watching a game and playing a game are completely different. And we even have a whole series about that. Check out our series, How Bad Is It Really, to see that. But yeah, I've played Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and I've played Astro's Playroom. Which one do I think is better? Obviously Astro's Playroom. You can either agree with me or you can disagree with me. Don't come away from this video thinking that I'm saying one way is right and one way is wrong. That's not true. This video is my opinion. You guys can have your opinion. And I'm making this video because I'm very passionate about my opinions. I love to share my opinions. And I like to make YouTube videos. And I like to stream as well. So again, if you're brand new to the channel, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you guys want to see a more scripted video, then I'm sorry, that's just not me. This is my way of doing it. But I appreciate you for giving me your time to sit there and watch this video. I appreciate you for giving me your time to leave a comment. So please, yes, by all means, leave your comments down below. I'd love to see what you think. Which one do you think is better? Do you think Astro's Playroom is better? Do you think Switch 2 Welcome Tour is better? I would love to know. Do you think all my points are valid? Again, look at what I've said. One of them is a bland instruction manual with a couple minigames that you have to pay for. The other is a 3D platformer that is a love letter to the years Sony have put into making consoles, into making games, and it's free. And it's got trophies and you can platinum it. Need I say any more? Need I say any more? Well, the fact of the matter is I don't need to say any more on that subject. But what I do need to say more on is, if you are brand new, please subscribe to 2.5 Gamers UK and welcome. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for returning. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to give the video a big old thumbs up on the way out. And if you are new, yeah, please subscribe to 2.5 Gamers UK. We'd love to talk to you guys more. And actually, do you know what? Another plug. Check out the Discord server. Go in the description or go onto our channel. Check out our Discord server. Join that if you want to talk more with me about this subject. As I say, I'll try and reply to all the comments as well. So leave your comments. And that also helps out the video. But also, if you want to talk live with me, then join the Discord and we can talk more live about it on there. Other than that, need I say any more? No, not really. Let me know if you like this style of video, of this versus that. Maybe in the future I'll do more. It's definitely a video, like I say, I've had this video in my mind for a while. I've had this video in my mind since I first saw the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and now I've finally done it. And again, I know my videos are very long, very rambly, but that's just how I like to do things. And again, let me know if you enjoyed that, and if you did or not, I shall soon find out. But either way, you've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated. I hope you all enjoyed. And as I always like to say when I close out these videos, hopefully you'll see me and I'll see you in the next one. So take care.